Hey guys, it's Brooke with SupertutorTV, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about how to rate the perfect SAT essay. Before we get started, I want to just encourage all of you to subscribe to our channel. It's really awesome. All you have to do is click the subscribe button. That's how we keep alive. And then the other thing that I want to encourage you to do is go to our website and sign up for our mailing list. If we have any new products or any new exciting giveaways or anything going on, you're going to be the first people to know about it. So I recommend that you check that out, and let's get started. If you guys are taking the SAT and you're taking the essay, I know it can be a little bit overwhelming. What I'm going to share with you is my observations on what really makes a top scoring essay. What are the elements that combine together that the College Board graders respond to? If you have no idea what the SAT essay is about, two things you can do to learn about it. One, we have a video that compares the SAT essay to the ACT essay, but that walks through all of the parameters of the essay and all of the basics of what's on it and what it tests and how it's graded and all that good stuff. The second thing you could do is go download a copy of an actual SAT practice essay. I'm going to be using practice essay number 3 from test 3 today as a little bit of an example. You can find that and many more essays on our resources page, on our SAT resources page. So you can do those two things and get a little orientation, understand what it's all about. Come back here after that, and then let's get started. The first tip that I have is that you need to find 3 things essentially to talk about that are technique driven, and that should be your thesis. If you don't do this as a thesis, I have found that some graders are just not very forgiving. One of the mistakes that some students make is that they just summarize the whole darn thing. And that's not your job. Your job is not to summarize it, but it's also not just to analyze 3 techniques the author is using to prove his or her point. So the balance is that you need to do both of these things. You need to pick up your reading points, which you pick up from understanding all of the things the author is trying to say in the essay. And then you also need to pick up your analysis points, which you get by figuring out what techniques or what strategies does the author employ in order to get his or her point across. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of what that means and what that looks like. I'm just going to pull up this practice essay. This is from an official practice test. Here's my little end of paragraph thesis. To persuasively make the point that technology benefits young people, Dr. Min asserts the importance of the topic using statistics. So I have this idea of what she's doing by using statistics in here. Then I say acknowledges her counter arguments while providing dim evidence of their validity, and supports her own side by synthesizing multiple sources of evidence. Those are my big 3, but you see how I've added a little bit of depth and a little bit of swimming pool water for myself in the way that I set this up so that I have somewhere to go. The art of this is being able to do this in a way that creates an opening for depth that connects both to how those techniques have an effect on the reader and what those techniques have to do with the main idea the author's trying to establish, or with her overall argument framework. One of the things that I found in some student essays that I don't think works as well, or that can lead to rather thin analysis later, is being really sort of perfunctory in the choice of what kind of techniques the author is using. For example, I have a lot of students who will say, the author uses statistics, cites evidence, and appeals to authorities. And then we go on into the essay, and the appeal to authority is basically like, she quotes this famous person. He is a famous person, so she appealed to authority. And it's just super thin in its analysis. So always try to find a good point of analysis, a good rhetorical strategy the author's using, but find one that you can dig a little deeper into. And that's going to be your path to getting all those points from your graders. Cool? My second tip is that you're going to analyze the essay in 4 steps in your body paragraphs. And this is kind of the 4-step process that if you're missing one of these 4 steps, you're going to lose points somewhere, okay? So our first step is that you need to identify the trend or technique and its purpose. This is basically taking from the thesis, which I've already identified the trend or technique, but because of good organization, I have to do this in my body paragraph as well. So I'm going to show you my body paragraph here, and I'm going to show you how I do each of these steps. The technique I'm going to say is utilizing numbers with statistics. The purpose of using numbers is to establish the importance of discussing this pressing issue, right? So I have the technique, and I also have the purpose of the technique. Do you see how I'm doing this at kind of a macro level? I'm not just saying literally what the statistics say. I'm saying sort of the big purpose behind them. So you want to get to that big purpose if you can, and then also say, here's the technique that's being used, and here's the kind of big purpose or framework idea behind it. So my second step in this 4-step process of all the things that you have to have in your body paragraph are you need to cite the technique. And when I say cite the technique, that's your time for paraphrasing or for direct quotes. If you don't have a paraphrase or direct quote in every paragraph, you are going to be in trouble and you're not going to get all of your analysis points, okay? So here I have, for example, that's leading in and saying, I'm going to give you an example. She cites statistics to establish the widespread use of technology among kids. So this is establishing a lot of kids use technology. And then here's our statistics, right? 27% of them use tablets, this thing here. And I say why she's including this quote. So I always lead my citation in with a little bit of context so you understand how it fits into the larger argument. You see how this is more specific than this idea of the importance of discussing this pressing issue? Well, why is it important to discuss this issue? Because there's so many kids using technology. Do you see how this is like the subpoint that's going to lead up to that point? So you see how I have like kind of the general, and then I've got like the specific, super specific here, and then I've got kind of a specific explanation of what that specific is. So I have these different layers of explanation. And while I'm fitting it into a larger argument, I'm also establishing that I understand the author's message and meaning, which is my number 3. You make sure you explain how that technique contributes to the author's message and meaning. In other words, you explain what that technique has to do or how it fits in with the argument as a whole. And in that step, you're also telling us what that argument is, how that argument is formed, how that argument's set up, all that good stuff, and you're picking up all those reading points. Don't neglect your reading points, or you will be sorry. She capitalizes on the power of data to reveal how broad-reaching the issue of children's technology use is. This is basically the effect of what this quote is. So I'm explaining the effect of the quote. I'm also explaining what it has to do with her argument. She's trying to reveal how broad-reaching the issue of children's technology uses. This has to do with her main idea, or her point. And so I'm going to pick up some reading points here because I understand the point she's trying to make. Got it? And I'm telling you what that point is, and I'm telling you how this quote works in with that point. And 4, finally, you're talking about the end game effect, the overall effect of having used this technique. How does that work on readers? And I'm just always trying to swim deeper into that analytical hole. The more I can analyze, the better off I'm going to be, and the more likely I am going to be to get a perfect score on this. So here, using such striking statistics, Dr. Mann captures the audience's attention. This is an issue that must be discussed. So here's what the effect of these stats are. By using all these big numbers, as an audience member, I go, oh, whoa, holy cow, this is a big deal. I didn't even realize how important it was that we figure this issue of kids and technology out. This really matters. So that's the effect of this technique on the reader, of using all these statistics. But I've analyzed the effect on the reader. Cool? My 3rd tip for the SAT essay, and this is my last one, is to perfect your writing prowess. What I think a lot of students struggle with isn't necessarily grammar straight up, but it's more what we call style and usage. You want to sound like you're writing for the Atlantic Monthly or the New York Times, not like you're some 8th grader who can barely put together an essay. Even if your grammar is perfect, if your style isn't dead on, you might not pick up all those writing points. So how do you become an awesome writer? Well, I have some advice for you in the form of go check out some books. One of them is a classic. It's called The Elements of Style. It's by Strunk and White. It's going to tell you all about how to write concisely, how to use fewer words instead of more words, how to pack power into your sentences by the way that you arrange them. It's free on the Kindle, and it's probably available in every public library in America, if not close to it. So go check that book out. 2 other books that I like. There's one that's called Writing Tools. It's by a guy named Roy Peter Clark, and it goes through a bunch of different ways that you as a writer can make your sentence level writing better. How do you make your writing stronger? How do I make my writing seem really cohesive and whole versus how do I make it seem like there's a struggle or there's a debate? So he's going to go through some different techniques that you can use. It's a really easy to read, quick kind of reference style book. And then the 3rd book that I really like is called They Say, I Say. It's by Gerald Graff and Kathy Birkenstein. And that book is just really cool because it talks about how in academic writing, we often engage in conversation. This book probably applies to, I would say, 1/3 of the essays that you're going to read are going to have some sort of academic conversation in them, if not 1/2. But one of the things about the book that's really interesting is it talks about how by referencing other points of view, your point of view becomes more interesting. So you can use some of the principles there not only in your SAT essay, but also in analyzing the essay, because a lot of times the people writing these essays are using the techniques from that book too. So you can use it both as an analysis tool and a way to spice up your own writing so your own writing seems more interesting. When you add a little bit of perspective, when you add a little bit of, many people might think this, but actually this kind of talk into your essay, you can create this sort of sense of insta-depth. And so that's just a really easy, quick, and dirty way to improve your analysis a little bit. So check out those 3 books. Those are going to help you with your style and your writing, and they're probably going to help you a lot more with that than a lot of the SAT books on the market. Just brushing up on your writing skills in general is an awesome way to get all 4 of those writing points. If you're not getting those writing points, that's a great place to start. I hope you guys like this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel again if you haven't. Go to our website and subscribe to our mailing list, and stay tuned to SupertutorTV. Good luck to all of you on the SAT. I hope you rock your essays, and I will see all of you next time on SupertutorTV. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.